On screen, he's the awkward and silent Mr. Bean. But in real life, Rowan Atkinson is an engineer, a car collector, and a billionaire with zero need for showboating. Today, we're taking a closer look at who he really is. But first, let's break down why the world fell head over heels for Mr. Bean in the first place. The character of this quirky oddball with the iconic red tie and confused stare was actually born back in college. During his time in university theater, Atkinson began developing a persona that would one day become a global sensation. He wanted to create a character who could make people laugh, not through dialogue, but through physical comedy, something universal that would work in Japan, Germany, or Argentina. That's why Mr. Bean barely speaks. And strangely enough, that became his superpower. The Mr. Bean Show became a worldwide phenomenon. It aired in over 190 countries, making it one of the most iconic British comedies in TV history. Atkinson became a global star without saying much at all. Now that's genius. Even the 2007 film Mr. Bean's Holiday was a smash hit in Europe and Asia, despite having barely any dialogue. He just got on a train, went to France, and made half the world laugh. Think of Mr. Bean as Charlie Chaplin, only in a tweed jacket and driving a Mini Cooper. And here's what's truly surprising. Behind this silent goofball is a man with brains, a degree in engineering, and a life that couldn't be more different from the character he plays. And that's exactly what we're diving into right now. On screen, he's a wide-eyed oddball with a goofy tie and a permanent look of surprise. But in real life, Rowan Atkinson is a millionaire with a sharp mind and serious business sense. His net worth is estimated at around $150 million. Not bad for a guy who spent most of his screen time saying absolutely nothing, right? And no, his fortune isn't just thanks to Mr. Bean. Take Johnny English, for example, an unexpectedly successful spy comedy that pulled in big box office numbers. Add to that voice acting, theater work, and numerous TV projects. Atkinson never limited himself to one role, even though, let's be honest, he probably could have just kept pulling faces forever and lived happily ever after. Now, car lovers, listen up. Rowan isn't just an actor, he's also a serious car collector. And we're not talking about Fords here. We're talking McLaren F1 level. He bought it back in 1997 for around $1 million, and later sold it for 12. That's not just a love of speed, that's an investment, baby. And here's where it gets interesting. Atkinson doesn't just make good money, he knows how to manage it. No 300-foot yachts, no palaces with golden toilets, and no just because I can watch collections worth $1 million. He's smart about it, because just because you played Mr. Bean doesn't mean you're a clown. But cars? That's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to his hobbies. Aside from collecting, Rowan's also a licensed pilot. Yep, he flies light aircraft and has the official paperwork to prove it. Not just a celebrity playing with toys, but a guy who actually knows how to fly a plane. He's also a huge fan of classic British engineering, especially Aston Martins. And he's not just showing up to car races for photos. He's been behind the wheel as an actual driver. And yep, remember that McLaren F1 he sold for $12 million? He crashed it once. No joke. But instead of crying over wrecked metal, he had it repaired, kept driving it, and then sold it for a massive profit. The only guy who can crash a McLaren, fix it, and walk away richer. But here's the real twist. Despite all that money, Rowan never slipped into the typical celebrity lifestyle. Why? We'll get to that. You're probably thinking, okay, millions in the bank, McLaren sold, must be living that Hollywood life, mansion, pool, parties, champagne for breakfast. Nope, not even close. In real life, Rowan Atkinson is the exact opposite of the guy you see on screen. On screen, chaos, flying cakes, broken lamps. In life, calm, structure, and classic British understatement. He lives modestly. No flashy luxury, no tabloid drama, no need to show off. Instead of collecting likes for his latest yacht, Rowan collects cars. But even that's not for show. It's because he's genuinely obsessed with engineering and machines. And yes, he can actually fix them himself. He's got a degree in engineering. But more on that in a bit. His personal life? Also the polar opposite of Hollywood drama. He was married, has kids, and now dates a younger woman. But it's all extremely low-key and out of the spotlight. And maybe the most surprising thing, he's almost completely absent from social media. Probably because he doesn't feel the need to prove anything to anyone. But you know what's truly wild? This quiet genius used to stutter. And that's just one of several surprising facts about him. Sure, you already know he's wealthy, humble, and loves cars. But now let's dig even deeper. Because Rowan's life is full of facts that make you go, wait, seriously? First off, he had a stutter as a kid. Yep, the man who became famous for barely saying a word on screen actually struggled with speech in real life. That's why he became a master of facial expressions and body language. He literally trained himself to communicate without speaking. Now that's the power of self-improvement. Second fun fact, he's not even an actor by education. Guess what his degree is in? Electrical engineering. He studied at Newcastle, and then at Oxford no less. So when Mr. Bean builds some ridiculous contraption, it's not all that far-fetched. Deep down, that engineering brain is absolutely real. And here's another wild one. Back in the day, he was friends with Tony Blair. Yes, that Tony Blair, the future Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. They were in the same theater club, and apparently the deal was, you go run the country and I'll keep it laughing. Honestly, not a bad partnership. And by the way, unlike most celebrities, Rowan isn't a fan of red carpets, parties, or giving interviews. In fact, he's such an introvert he could probably spend the rest of his life alone in a garage with a wrench and be perfectly content. But there's another side of Rowan most people don't even know exists. Despite being known for comedy, he's not just making jokes, he's a deep thinker. Atkinson is actually a strong advocate for free speech. He's spoken out multiple times against laws that, in his view, restrict humor and limit satire. He's not afraid to say it. Jokes are supposed to make people think, even if they make someone uncomfortable. He critiques political correctness, but not in a the world's gone mad kind of way. He does it with intelligence and solid reasoning. His take? If we start banning jokes, we start banning thoughts. What makes it even more admirable is that he supports social causes, not as a celebrity but as a regular citizen. No big posts, no flashy PR campaigns. Just because he believes it's the right thing to do. Mr. Bean may act like a fool, but Rowan Atkinson definitely isn't one. So what we're looking at isn't just an actor. It's a man with brains, principles, and a rare kind of humility. And now, it's time to bring it all together. So who is Rowan Atkinson? He's not just Mr. Bean, not just a comic with genius-level facial expressions. He's an Oxford-trained engineer, a car collector with investment instincts, and an introvert who quietly conquered the world, almost without saying a word. He's got it all: fame, fortune, rare cars, but not a trace of showmanship. No wild parties, no non-stop interviews, no bragging about his wealth. Why? Because he doesn't need to. He lives for himself, not for likes. And finally, here are a couple of viral facts you probably didn't know but definitely won't forget. Remember that legendary Mini Cooper from Mr. Bean? The green one with the black hood? Well, that insane scene where Bean drives while sitting on a chair strapped to the roof? That was real. The car was actually modified so he could control it from the roof, with a mop, some ropes, and a brake made from a tin can. No stuntman involved, because it was Rowan Atkinson himself behind the wheel. And more recently, he officially announced that he's retiring the Mr. Bean character. Why? Getting older is fine, but being Mr. Bean past 60, that's exhausting. Fair enough. Let's be honest. Those facial expressions probably get more expensive with age, especially when they belong to Rowan Atkinson. In a world obsessed with brands and hype, Rowan reminds us of one simple truth. Real style is when you can show off, but don't. So the next time you see Mr. Bean holding his teddy bear and pulling a crazy face, just remember, behind that image is a man with brains, values, and one seriously cool garage.